Bijan Robinson and the 2-0 Atlanta Falcons certainly represent a serious threat to the Detroit Lions, especially being as the Lions defense seemed to do a 180 after their season opening win over the Chiefs on Thursday Night Football. I don't think anyone expected the defense to play that poorly, certainly not myself, in week two against the Seahawks. Second year in a row, the Seahawks has really lit the defense up there in Detroit, and Bijan Robinson and the Falcons coming to town in some ways doesn't look like a good matchup. And let me explain. The Lions had difficulty last week covering tight ends on over play action concepts, middle of the field. Arthur Smith has always been brilliant in terms of using tight ends off of play action stuff, dating back to his years with the Tennessee Titans as the offensive coordinator. And so far, Bijan Robinson has lived up to the billing, and then some through 2 weeks for real. I mean, like I said, the Falcons are 2-0. They come into Detroit, and they have an offensive system that is predicated on running the football, using play action, using Bijan Robinson, sometimes using him and Tyler Algier at the same time on the field. I'll show you some plays here in a moment. Arthur Smith's always been a really brilliant offensive mind, if you ask me. And look, I can attest to that personally as a Ravens fan. Like, watching the Ravens try to defend his team last year was difficult. They put the defense in conflict. They are going to force defenders to make decisions, and then he'll have built-in plays to capitalize on those decisions, be they good or bad. Look, in terms of Robinson, he's got 180 yards rushing and 75 yards receiving through 2 games. He's added to the mix with Drake London, Kyle Pitts. Smith brought in Jonnu Smith, who he had coached in Tennessee, a talented and versatile tight end. Tyler Algier was a good running back as well. I think he averaged over 5 yards a carry last year. Mack Hollins is a unique player. 6'4" wide receiver, is actually from area not too far from me. He recently played with the Las Vegas Raiders. Talented guy. One thing to note before we get into the film with the Falcons is only 7 guys have touches, unless I'm looking at the stats wrong and I'm missing something. Robinson has 39 touches, 29 carries for 180, 10 catches for 75 yards, 90% catch rate. Algiers ran the football. I think he ran well in week 1. Other than that, no one has really touched the football at the running back position. At receiver, it's Jonnu Smith, Kyle Pitts, Drake London, Mack Hollins, and that's it. There may be one other guy with catches. So in terms of the depth of what they're bringing there, it doesn't appear to be too deep. The Falcons, if you ask me, bring a unique offense from the standpoint of they've got a running back that they're willing to feed, and so many people in this day and age are not. So let's get to the film. The Lions are going to have to stop him and deal with him. Incredible run here against Green Bay. He's making people miss. And from watching the Lions game last week, the first impression that I said upon watching the film was the tackling. The tackling was really poor. I thought there was a lot of missed opportunities for the Lions defenders to make plays. And this guy, he gets downhill fast, and Arthur Smith is willing to run to the weak side, away from the strength of the formation. He's willing to do that, and this guy presses the line of scrimmage so quick. I'm really anticipating the main downhill linebacker. I'm talking about a guy who's downhill right now for the Lions is Barnes. I'm interested to see how he fits this stuff because, like, Campbell is a fitter. Campbell will, fit the hole correctly, and it's not that Barnes doesn't, but Barnes is more of a downhill right now guy, and sometimes I'm going to either be right or I'm going to be wrong, but I'm going to hit it 1,000 miles an hour. I'm really interested to see how Robinson and Barnes match up. And look, the Panthers, for real, did a nice job on Robinson in the first week. I thought their offense turned the football over 3 times. Another thing that you'll see here on this run is how sudden and sharp he is with his cuts while still remaining downhill. I mean, he's still downhill, keeping his shoulders pretty much parallel to the line of scrimmage, but the cuts are very sudden. You can see the abruptness that he has. He just seems to gain ground so quickly and accelerate out of cuts, which is what you want from your running backs. You don't want their cut to slow them down. You want them to make a cut and accelerate out of it. I think he's averaging 6.2 per carry or 6.12 per carry so far. Really cool footwork here. Doesn't surprise me. He's the whole package on this counterplay. And one thing Arthur Smith has always done is he's always used the fullbacks in this way. He's always stepped the fullback with the tailback and then brought him back underneath of the quarterback in the direction of the play. You get full flow here off the snap. Full flow means fullback, tailback, same side. And really sneaky blocking scheme, pulling the center back around. Fullback is going to go underneath of the quarterback after the fake. And then Bijan Robinson, like I said, once he puts his foot in the ground, he accelerates out of it. Full speed. Great play. Arthur Smith has done stuff like that for a long time with the fullback. Many teams have copied it, including Ben Johnson and the Lions. Really slippery in tight space. Arthur Smith's always been willing to run to the boundary, so away from the field side, force you to defend the entire width of the field. It'll be interesting to see where the Lions set Aiden Hutchinson and their other defensive ends. I understand Charles Harris is hurt. James Houston IV, of course, I know that. I'm a big fan of his. He's going to be out for a while. It'll be interesting to see where they set Kaminsky. I'm wondering if they're going to set him to the boundary often because of Arthur Smith's tendency to run the football back over there. They put him in the slot along with Algier. So, a 21 personnel group, but there's no fullback on the field. There's two halfbacks, and I mean, it's almost unfair. It's video game like that he can do these things. And if you're a Lions fan and you're thinking about how the team tackled last week, it certainly isn't a great feeling to see this guy come into town with all that he can do and all the ways that Arthur Smith is going to force you to tackle him. Like I said, 39 touches through 2 games. There would be some who would say, it's too much usage, et cetera, et cetera. But point is, he's going to make you tackle Bijan Robinson 12, 15, 18 times at minimum. And there's some teams who just can't do it. And twice already so far, you can see teams keying on him and reading him initially. And look, the Panthers lit him up twice. The Packers lit him up once. The Lions need a spark defensively, if you ask me. I think they need to get some stops early. I was incredibly shocked, like I said, at how poorly they played last week. There were so many issues that it was hard to focus on just one. The tackling really stuck out to me. Getting to the quarterback was obviously an issue across the board. Aiden Hutchinson, I thought he was held on that game-winning touchdown pass to, or one of the last pass plays, I should say, to Tyler Lockett. I thought it was a pretty obvious hold. Other than that, it didn't seem like many guys were getting there. They had trouble covering the tight ends. I mean, on the first possession, you got 12 players on the field and give up a first down. Seattle may have gained it anyway. I think it was going to be 3rd and 2. From the first play. Now, the run game generally got held down, but still had issues. And Kenneth Walker III is super talented as well. Maybe not on Bijan Robinson's level in terms of overall talent, but he's got the goods. And there was a couple of times where the Lions had difficulty tackling him. Gave up big plays in the pass game. Coverage element, I thought, failed them from the cornerback position on down. In this case, Fant is going to beat James Houston IV, who, like I said, is out injured. The Lions have to look at how they're covering some of this stuff when there's multiple tight ends on the field. I think it's 13 personnel, and they go twins. The offense goes twins. If you don't think that the Falcons are going to come in with some stuff like this for Kyle Pitts and Jonnu Smith, you really don't know Arthur Smith, because he will copy and force you to defend things that he's seen succeed against you on film. And if you want proof of that as a Ravens fan, when the Titans came to Baltimore and beat the Ravens in the 2019 playoffs, well, the 2020 was the date of the game, but it was after the 2019 regular season. He ran 3 plays that had succeeded against the Ravens earlier in the year. When I say earlier in the year, one of them was from week 4. He's going to do his homework just in the same way that Andy Reid will. And defensively, the Lions have to be better. From last week, you would think that they will be, because it was so poor, first of all. But second of all, they're going to have to be better at some of the things they struggled with last week, because Arthur Smith is going to go right back to them. A lot of missed opportunities, I thought, to make plays, and really poor job at the inside linebacker position on these play-action concepts, covering the tight ends. And it was all of them. It wasn't just one. It wasn't just Anzalone or Rodriguez or Barnes or Campbell. I thought it was all of them. No one was good at identifying it quick enough to be able to defend it at all for whatever reason. Even though as the backside linebacker, there's got to be a little bit of pause in what you do. You can't just fly out of there. This is one of the missed opportunities. Look, and multiple guys got hurt last week. It sounds like I'm talking down on the Lions defense. I was really surprised by it. I'm a huge James Houston IV fan and a huge C.J. Gardner-Johnson fan. This, by the way, is a tremendous missed opportunity for Kirby Joseph, and really rare for him. Now, I understand he did get hurt during the game and then returned to play, and then he's been dealing with that injury this week. But he's a sure-handed guy. I mean, this is a guy who has basically retired Aaron Rodgers as a Packer because of his ability to intercept. And he did have an interception last year, I think, against Rodgers that didn't count, I believe. But in any case, a missed opportunity for Joseph to really flip the score of the game. Could the Lions have to win a shootout? It's possible. It's possible that Atlanta comes in there and does something similar to the Lions defense, but I don't think it's likely. I just don't see them. They've got too much talent over there and too many guys to have some of the same issues that we're seeing on film here. If you're a Lions fan and you watch this long, first of all, thank you. Second of all, let me know what you think of the defense. If there's any way that it has improved in 1 week, perhaps things were too complex at times. That doesn't seem to be the case to me. Just watching the film when I did the videos earlier in the week, and then watching the film again Friday and Saturday leading up to trying to produce something like this, it didn't seem like a case of things being too complicated. It didn't seem like a case of players on defense consistently being asked to do things they can't do. I would suggest that some of the times where you're covering DK Metcalf man-to-man with Jerry Jacobs or anyone is just leaving too much space to that side. But other than that, I thought the guys were asked to do things they could do and have done on film, particularly a week before against the Chiefs. Which defense is going to show up later today in Detroit? I would say you're probably going to get a mix between the two with all the injuries and all the players that had difficulty, number one. Number two, you got special talent and Bijan Robinson coming in. Along with that, the offensive coordinator, the head coach, excuse me, he's not the offensive coordinator, but we know he's involved with the offense. They're running the same scheme as Tennessee, essentially. He's got brilliant offensive mind, and he's going to attack you where you're weak. It's what any coach should do, but he's really good at it. Is it more likely that the Lions have to win a shootout? Yeah, I guess it is. Now, there's multiple guys out over on that side, too. 2 offensive linemen are out. Amon-Ra St. Brown's been dealing with an injury. He's going to play, going to put something in his shoe that he apparently did in high school as well. Josh Reynolds showed up on the injury report earlier in the week, and I think he did practice the last 2 days, I believe. And he's off to an amazing start this year, if you ask me. Having those 2 guys there, hopefully 100% or really close to it, settles my mind in terms of the Lions' offense's ability to keep up with Atlanta if Atlanta does to the Lions' defense what the Seahawks did. I don't think that's going to be the case. I think you'll probably get a mixture of the two, erring closer to how they played against the Chiefs. I think there's just too much pride and too many talented guys on the Lions side. And to be real, Aaron Glenn can't afford another performance like that from his defense. Outside of St. Brown and Reynolds, there's still playmakers there on offense for Detroit. Laporta, Gibbs, Raymond. It's going to be a while before Jameson Williams gets back. Jared Goff's playing at a super high level, if you ask me. If you were to ask me for a prediction, I think the Lions win this one 31-20, maybe 35-24, somewhere in that range, assuming no turnovers on the Lions side. I think they're going to figure out a way to get it done offensively and look at least good enough defensively to win this game somewhere in the fourth quarter, either having a 10-point lead and getting a stop late to finish the game, or being up by 3 or 4 and getting a touchdown late in the fourth to kind of pull away. Appreciate you guys' time. If you checked the video out, let me know what you thought of it in the comment section. If you think other Lions fans or Falcons fans or football fans in general would appreciate this content, this video preview, please consider grabbing a link to this and sharing it out on social media to help this content get more reach.